Welcome to BrandonSpano.com. We are here at Mile High Stadium giving you your Washington Redskins Denver Broncos preview for BSN. So let's go ahead and get started. The Broncos have their hands full on Sunday going against an offense that is firing on all cylinders now. RG3 himself against the Chicago Bears put up almost 400 yards of offense with rushing and passing yardage combined, and the Redskins came away victorious after scoring 45 points. I know that doesn't sound like a lot to you Bronco fans who have watched your team score tons and tons of points all season, but that's a lot of points in the NFL, especially against a Bears defense that was a middle-of-the-pack defense on passing and rushing coming into that game. The Denver Broncos, on the other hand, are coming in with a lot of people doubting their tenacity on defense and their ability to cover the pass on defense. They're ranked dead last, and whether that comes from garbage yards suggested by some players this week or whether that comes from just getting beat, the facts are the facts, the yardage is the yardage. That is where it is at. What can RG3 and Pierre Garçon and company do to the Denver Broncos defense? Well, that's to be determined, but it looks like, based on the film from the past 2 weeks, they should be able to put up sufficient yardage and stay in the game with their offense alone. Now, defense is a whole nother situation. They're ranked below 20th in almost every major category, passing and rushing, and they're having a hard time getting to the quarterback as well. Now, Brian Orakpo is obviously on the defense, and he's a very tough linebacker to try to block. They've been decent on third down, so that's another thing you have to look out for. But they really haven't been in a lot of third down situations because teams have been able to move the ball on them all season long. This looks like an offense versus offense game to me. I think this is going to be very high scoring. I think Vegas had it at minus 12.5, and I think that that's probably a little too much for the Broncos. I do think they come out victorious, but I think it's going to be a very difficult game. You also have to remember the Mike Shanahan effect. Mike Shanahan, in a positive way, can be a very vengeful person. He can really turn vengeance into success, and I don't know how much vengeance, or even if that's the right word, that he has towards the Denver Broncos, but I remember when he was in Denver and when they would play the Oakland Raiders, the place had fired him. I remember what those games were like, and more often than not, the Denver Broncos came away very victorious, and they would run the score up and they would do whatever they could to embarrass the Raiders. Last week he beat Jay Cutler. This week he wants to beat the Denver Broncos. I'm looking at this game, and I'm looking at the strengths and the weaknesses of the Washington Redskins, and the Broncos offensively should be able to pass, they should be able to run, they should be able to do everything, but are they going to be able to slow the Redskins down? That's the question that has to be answered. The players that will affect this game on the highest level, in my opinion, on the Redskins side, Jordan Reed, the tight end out of Florida, who had 9 catches for 134 yards last week and a touchdown. He is your prototype, stereotypical basketball-sized tight end. That's the big thing right now in the NFL. He did not play in week 4, but in the 4 contests before this game that he did play in, he all had at least 4 catches in all of those games. He's a big-time target and a big-time threat, and the Denver Broncos have not been good against tight ends all year, so you definitely want to watch that. For the Denver Broncos, the players have to be Von Miller and Wesley Woodyard, and here's why. Because not only is Von Miller in charge of getting after the quarterback, but both of them will share duties spying and shadowing RG3 throughout the remainder of the game. And then for Wesley Woodyard, not only is he going to have the spying and the shadowing duties, but he'll probably be matched up with the tight end that I just named, Jordan Reed, in some portions of the game as well. So Wesley Woodyard and Von Miller for the Denver Broncos, Jordan Reed for the Washington Redskins. I think the Broncos defensive backs can take care of the rest. Those would be my most important players for this Sunday's matchup. We know that the Denver Broncos can score on the Washington Redskins. The big question is, can they stop the Washington Redskins? The big stat of this week, for me at least, has to be points per game allowed before and after Wesley Woodyard. Before Wesley Woodyard went out, a little over 22 points per game allowed. Since he's went out, if you include the Dallas game where he went out in the first quarter, they've allowed 35.3 points per game. That's a 2-touchdown swing with Wesley Woodyard and without Wesley Woodyard. He should be back. He was a full participant at practice today, and I think it's going to make a huge difference. The only players who didn't participate in practice today were Champ Bailey and Chris Cooper. Peyton Manning was a go, Eric Decker was a go, Wesley Woodyard was a go, Sean Phillips was a go. Okay, the Broncos should be as healthy as they've been for any game this season as they face Mike Shanahan and the Washington Redskins at Mile High Stadium. I'm Brandon Spano for BSN. We'll see you next time.